I just think it's chaos, and I just don't trust anyone.
So you're in Gloucestershire?
Yes, so we're not affected, but we spoke a few weeks ago when you were asking about dogging your neighbours. And I explained to you that my wife was in
shielding.
Or basically was in the shielding category.
Yes,
and now people are starting to say, oh, well, let's just shield the vulnerable. And that's just so simplistic. It affects the family too. So I've got a 5-year-old girl. I can't, she wouldn't be able to shield from her.
No, of course.
And so we've been very careful. I mean, and it's hard. I'm a self-employed photographer, and we've got a 5-year-old that wants to see her friends. And my wife now just feels that she's a burden. She doesn't want to
not only a burden, but she's also being rendered responsible for her own health, as opposed to it being part of the national health, which is what these ghouls seem to be calling for when they talk about shield the vulnerable, but let the rest of us get on with it. All of these arguments carry some weight if there is a really first-class test, trace and isolate system in place. In the absence of that, and I mean the letter that everyone was getting very excited about last week, which I think you're referring to obliquely, this so-called declaration or whatever it was, when you actually looked at all the names that had signed it, Harold Shipman was on there, I think IP Freely was on there, Bubbles in the Bath by Ivor Windybottom was on there. I mean, when you actually looked, so the Daily Mail put it on their front page with a figure saying thousands and thousands of scientists and doctors have signed this great declaration. When you looked at it, you and I could have signed it.
Yeah.
And that's where the idea comes from, that your wife should be somehow responsible for everybody else's health, let alone her own.
But it won't just be her. It'll be, myself, my 5-year-old. She can't understand. She can't see her friends. She doesn't know why she can't have play dates. And we're obviously trying to be really careful.
Yeah.
My wife recently told me of one of her friends in the same sort of condition as her. She got COVID and she spent 3 days in hospital on oxygen. I don't want that to happen to my wife. I don't want my daughter to see her mum like that.
I know you don't.
And it just really infuriates me when I see my friends on Facebook saying, oh, well, a second wave is inevitable. The government are doing a good job. They're doing their best. Other countries are going through it as well. And I'm like, well, no, because we're doing much worse. And I thought we weren't allowed to compare with other countries anyway.
I think we're allowed to again now on some days. I haven't been able to keep up.
Yeah, I just don't know what to do, to be honest, because, these are people that are in my life and I don't want to lose all these friends and stuff. But, for us, it's a real risk. It's not just a cold. It's not just a flu. It's a real...
Well, I don't know either. And I can feel in your voice the pain that you're enduring as a family and the pain that you shoulder as the person who has to make the decisions on occasion for your daughter, in conjunction with your wife. Yeah. But I was with my mum at the weekend who shields as well, more for age than specific medical conditions, and she, like you, just feels increasingly fatigued and frustrated by it all. But and then the play date thing, of course, if you could guarantee that your daughter would stay 2 meters away from all her friends and they all wore masks, but she's fine. She's fine.
She just doesn't, and she's done really well over lockdown. We had the 6 months of proper lockdown, didn't see anyone. Some of her friends were still meeting up with each other outdoors because that was within the rules, but we didn't think it was worth the risk. And she understood all that, and I just don't think it's fair on her, and it's fair on all these people that are feeling they're a burden. They feel they're a burden to their families and friends, and that's not fair. And we've got to this stage now where it's almost society saying, well, if it doesn't affect me directly, or I don't see it affecting us directly, then it's probably just a cold or a flu. Let's just get on with life.
And they overlook the deaths that we've already had, don't they? It's quite incredible. And they overlook the fact that we've seen the published figures on how many deaths are caused by COVID-19 and how many are caused by traditional flu, for which, of course, we already have a vaccine. And I feel for you. I wish I could say something more comforting to you. I really do.
I mean, it is helpful to listen to you and other callers kind of say the same thing. And,
this is reality, though. No, you're not going crazy. All we can do is put the evidence and the facts as we know them in front of the country, because the more, knowledge is power. But then again, of course, you have poor old souls like this who says... there's no balance. You need to hear other points of view. So, okay, I mean, in the interest of balance, it won't kill you. It's not dangerous, and it isn't a global international pandemic, and people like Peter are getting their knickers in a bunch over something completely nonsensical. Oh, and also down with Captain Hindsight, you absolute clowns.